Welcome back to Ancient World Talks. I'm your host, Kyle Morris. I was really interested in the subject, mainly due to the fact that there's so much that you can learn about the ancient world that can be seen in our modern culture. Just take a look at how the Egyptians managed to get to the understanding of the constellations before any of us would have even thought possible. We didn't even consider them to have that knowledge at the time, and it really is crazy to think about. I'm here with a special guest today that I have for everyone, Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Please buy my new book, How the Martians Did It, how they built it, and how they will continue it.
Doofenshmirtz, if you wouldn't mind taking a step into the other room, I wouldn't mind talking to the audience alone for a second. So, guys, off this special guest, we are really going to see how this psycho will react to actual facts and knowledge about the ancient Egyptians. And we're going to see how much he really knows about them. So we're going to start off with the pyramids and the constellations, then we're going to go into the Duat, and then the Dendra Zodiac. Now, for some reason, he thinks it's made out of gold. We're going to really confront him about that one. And then we're going to take a look at how it's affected modern culture. Welcome back, Professor Doofenshmirtz.
Thank you.
I wanted to really talk to you about this. Did you know that there was a correlation between Orion's belt and its stars in it and the pyramids?
I don't believe it. The grains of sand is just as much calculated and correlated and whatever kind of fancy words you want to bring into the situation. And, the grains of sand are more correlated than the stars are with that building.
Well, Professor, let me ask. When the night sky is undergoing its rotation, you understand the stars kind of rotate, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The grains of sand, they're there, they were made with Earth, and they'll die with Earth.
But what I wanted to point out is during the high point of the night sky, the pyramids and 3 stars, specifically from Orion's belt, including the Sphinx, also is correlated with Orion's belt. Those stars make up what they believed was something called the Duat.
No.
Professor Doofenshmirtz, let me elaborate here for what the Duat is for you.
You don't have to. I just do not believe that these things can have correlations such simple as you're trying to describe.
Professor, let's talk about the Duat. So the Duat was a festivity of when someone had died. What would happen is their sun god Ra would come and grab them from their resting place, and he would take them over the Orion's belt in this journey, which was called the Duat. But whilst they were on that journey, they had to face trials and tribulations to other gods, and they would have to be tested for their soul. For example, they would have to have their heart be weighed against a feather.
Listen, I don't know about, your definition of density, but a feather and a heart don't weigh the same thing. Like my heart of gold, it ain't outweigh the feather by a long shot. And I'm a good man. I don't tell lies. I'm clean.
Professor Doofenshmirtz, this all was just what they happened to believe back then. For example, obviously, a modern-day heart would not outweigh a feather, but it was considered that you should outweigh the feather if you had lived a good life.
And you should have just, had a better scale. Don't bring in the feather. I don't like it. I don't know. Aliens brainwashed you with that one.
So, understandably, a heart cannot outweigh a feather. But this was just an example of what the Duat would be. But then once, hypothetically, if you pass all of the trials and you were deemed a good man, you would go to their final resting place, which would be along the stars in Orion's belt at the end of it. However, if you manage to get to that resting place, you are not free of work and a life of peace and just everything.
So you mean to tell me that I lived my life, I worked to become to buy my PhD, I have to go through that again, go through schooling or whatever?
I'm sorry, Professor, did you say you bought your PhD?
Sometimes,
Okay, we'll move on from that. Well, when you would get into the afterlife, the whole idea is you continue the life you had, but you just continued it on a scale in a world where death wasn't a worry. it was only good people that managed to make it to the afterlife. So only good people would continue to do hard, honest days of work. So obviously, there's been a lot of comparisons here today, but I really wanted to make the big comparison of how the constellations had even influenced some of the modern culture and how the whole Egyptians managed to influence the modern culture. Like, literally, take a look at the pyramids that they had done.
These 29-degree angles, or whatever angle you want to say, they're perfectly aligned. No human at this time could ever have even thought of a pyramid. It's impossible. Martians, some sort of alien base, had to use the levitation skills and anti-gravity to build these things precise.
Now, with that being said, we want to take a look at how some people can truly believe that the aliens did manage to visit Earth. Do you believe in that, Professor?
Do you believe that crop circles aren't real? I mean, like, the proof is in the pyramids.
Isn't it in the pudding?
In this case, it's in the pudding.
Okay, but with that being said, I feel like it's a great outlook that you can look on the modern day culture and still see people are influenced on what could have even happened back then, because we don't truly know. Unless, of course, you're Professor Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
I always know the proper stages, you know. Soon lizard people may take over Earth, you know. Aliens,
Okay, Professor, with that being said, it looks like we gotta end. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're gonna hopefully not let him talk about lizard people anymore.